Welcome to the next Autoimmune Nutritionist Snippet. Today I'd like to talk about it's not always the food. So I probably just think to just give you some examples of some of the conversations I've had recently where it's not always about the food. So one conversation I had was a person who was having rashes, and we in her functional nutrition intake we had this huge discussion over 90 minutes and digging deep into all of her health history and when these rashes were occurring and when they weren't, and this person had done a lot of work already on her food, and we actually found out it is something related to her being out in public and events that had happened in her childhood. So without having this big conversation, we would never have uncovered that, and we would have actually started eliminating foods that were quite unnecessary to eliminate. She is going to do a little bit of dietary cleanup work, but she's also going to go and see somebody else who she has previously worked with in the area that we'd identified as still being an issue for her. Another conversation I've had is with somebody, and they said, Cheryl, you need to help me get back on track with the way I'm eating. I'm overeating. And we started chatting. We realized that this overeating was while she was recovering from some recent surgeries, and it actually wasn't about the food at all. In a way, it was a sort of a form of comfort eating. She was filling a gap where she couldn't currently be doing her exercise and getting out in nature. So we discussed ways in which changing her mindset a little bit around, because this is somebody who really loves to be busy, who loves to feel productive, and just by sitting, we was talked about giving herself permission to actually let her body heal, and then what else could she be doing to get herself out in nature without necessarily going against any of the physio recommendations and what was necessary for her recovery. If you'd listened to my last autoimmune nutrition snippet about chewing, you would also realise that I'd had some conversations with clients about actually chewing and the impact that that was having on their bloating and the consistency of their bowel movements. And then the last one I'd like to share with you today is another client who we did a lot of cleanup work. She does have an autoimmune condition, but she had these headaches that had decreased, but we hadn't got rid of them. And we worked back through her timeline and her health history, and we realised they started about 10 years ago. And what we realised around that time in her life is that the internet had come into her home, electronic things like that, and she actually, that was the other thing, she'd done some bioresonance testing with another practitioner, and the bioresonance testing was actually making her sicker, and she had to stop that testing process. And what we discovered is she actually has an EMF sensitivity. So this is one of the things I love about being a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, is that sometimes we think it's the food, and there's actually an underlying cause why the food has become an issue for us. And too often I see people trying to eliminate this food group and that food group, and sometimes it's not actually about the food at all. So I hope you've taken some bits out of there that may relate to you, and I look forward to bringing you another autoimmune nutritionist snippet soon.